Yes, people, not long now until they're under the arches and someone's block is getting knocked off. Love it. So let me give you the lowdown on the whole thing, bruv. Yes, bad news. Liam Smith is out the Kelly fight. Bloody hell. Don't know what's happened there. He's got a virus or an injury or something. He might have even smiled in the mirror and fucking blinded himself. Fuck knows. Either way, we've got Ishmael Davis picking up the pieces. Okay, not quite as juicy as the Smith fight, but still should be half decent. But that's not even chief support, people. No one stopped before the colossal main event, AJ versus Dubois. We've got Hamza Sheeraz taking on the very game Tyler Denny with that lovely European middleweight title on the line. Then we've got Cacace versus Warrington. That's going to be fucking carnage. Then Kelly versus Davis. Then Buatsi versus Hutchinson. Yes, old Begbie Hutchinson has been at it again, getting right on his opponent's fucking nerves, and you love to see it, don't ya? And then Mark Chamberlain, Josh Padley at the bottom. So let's start with the juicy stuff, shall we? Yes, old Buatsi versus Hutchinson. Now, old Willie Hutchinson is a great addition to the light heavyweight scene. He's not everyone's cup of tea, granted, but he's bloody brilliant for boxing, ain't he? I mean this in the nicest way possible, but the best way to describe him is he's like that nutty mate who you don't want to go out with because he always starts a brawl, and you're looking up at him at the bar all pissed up and you're thinking, oh, don't start again, don't start. Oh, he's fucking started, ain't he? Yes, he's just Begbie all over, ain't he? He's probably sound as a pound off camera, but regardless, in these build-ups, the man knows full well how to get right under the skin of whoever is in front of him. Richards was the first victim, and Willie backed it up in the ring, and now Buatsi's fallen straight into the trap as well. I mean, how does he do it, eh? Buatsi's like a fucking monk outside the ring, but stick old Begbie in his face and he's throwing hands round necks. Blimey. Anyway, this is a ruddy great fight. Both men have a great amateur pedigree, both are in great form, and it's double interesting. Willie, a slick fast operator and a good mover, is a far cry from Buatsi's last opponent, Dan Aziz, who's a come-forward brawler. And Buatsi, the well-scored operator who's barely put a foot wrong in his career and taken hardly any punishment, is a far cry from Craig Richards, who was Willie's last opponent, and their only opponent in common. Now, Willie's punch variation is bound to cause a lot of problems for Buatsi. He catches you with the shot that you don't see coming, and before you can react, he's moved out the way as well. His style is so frustrating for opponents, and just like Richards did, they can end up chasing him all round the ring, which just plays even more into his hands. However, he does have that one blemish on his record against Lennox Clark, and he did look seriously tired in the championship rounds against Richards, which was his first 12-round fight, so he will need to be careful against Buatsi, who's more than comfortable going 12 rounds, having done it on a few more occasions. But yes, Buatsi does seem to have the full package, not the world's heaviest hands, but a smart, economical fighter who can be very spiteful. If he is able to cut off the ring from Hutchinson and keep him in front, he may be able to break him down somewhat and hurt him just like Lennox did. But if Willie is allowed free rein, don't be surprised to see Buatsi chasing him all over the ring and getting frustrated just like Richards did. Not to mention, who knows if Buatsi fights on emotion after Willie's battered his fucking eardrums to bits. Could that be an advantage or a disadvantage? We shall see. Oh, and by the by, feel free to click my link below to buy the pay-per-view for this Dynamite card on DAZN, the old global home of boxing, and you can get a 7-day free trial. There's no commitment whatsoever, so if you just want to buy the pay-per-view, then the option's there. But there's plenty of fight nights to tickle your nipples. It might be worth sticking around. Link below, lovely stuff. Then now, how's about Denny versus Sheeraz? Now, old Tyler had a blinder duffing up Felix Cash in June. He surprised a lot of people with his rise, and double fair play to him, but he does have a mammoth task on his hands here, because Sheeraz has been looking nothing short of sensational for a long while now. In fact, incredibly, not one opponent has heard the final bell since all the way back in 2019 against this man. Yes, he's had a run of 14 straight knockouts and retirements, old Hamza. His last fight on the 5 vs 5 against Ammo Williams was a big step up for him, but still he made it look pretty easy, to be honest, keeping Ammo at bay and chopping him down to eventually get the stoppage. He's got the size, the power and the ferociousness to cause any middleweight on the planet massive problems, and even if you're able to deal with his reach, his strength plus his lethal jab, which is almost enough on its own to knock someone out, then you're still going to have huge problems putting a dent in him because his massive arms act as an almost impenetrable guard. Tyler's a good tough boxer who's in a bit of form, but in a nutshell he's bound to have all sorts of trouble here, because first of all, it don't bode too well that he's only had one knockout in 24 fights, but also with the size disadvantage, the height and the huge reach of Sheeraz. Basically, he's going to have to get in range, land a flurry through Hamza's excellent defence, then be able to get out as quickly as possible before anything comes back, because if something does come back, he could be fucked. It really ain't going to be an easy task, and to be honest, if Denny were to win, out of all the fights that night, it probably would be the biggest upset of the night. And then yes, Kelly versus Davis. Well, it's nothing like the Liam Smith fight as mentioned earlier, and certainly nothing like the Cacace Warrington fight. We'll talk about about that bad boy in a minute. But even so, I suppose it's intriguing. Fair play to Ishmael for stepping up, and interestingly, he's due to fight on the Catchwell Prograde card in October as well, so he's got 2 fights lined up. There we are. Now, Ishmael is undefeated. He's a very skillful fighter who's just been given the opportunity of a lifetime at Wembley Stadium, so hopefully he does seize the moment. He comes off a solid win against Troy Williamson, which was a decent performance, but this is a whole new kettle of fish because Kelly is a world away in terms of style from Troy, and we can't forget the absolute schooling that Kelly gave Troy last year. So after the Avanesian fight, it's been a very smooth revival for Kelly. He's looked better and better, slick as ever, but there have been question marks around his last couple of opponents, mainly because nobody knows who the fuck they are. Yeah, that Ramirez was just leagues below, and then that Corzo was 12 rounds, but he just came to survive and pick up a paycheck, so he still needs the acid test, old Kelly, to get rid of that Avanesian shadow and show us exactly what level he is. Sadly, Liam Smith would have been that acid test, but it ain't happening now, so instead we have Ishmael. And he may surprise us, but I just feel like he may possibly be too inexperienced for Kelly. It's difficult to say because we don't really know the level of Ishmael yet since it's very early in his career, but with only a week's notice and going off recent form, Kelly may just be too quick and elusive. Anyway, we shall see. And then we have Mark Chamberlain versus Josh Padley, and you can tell while Chamberlain's been getting paid well, he's been off to Turkey, and he fucking hell. Nice being Turkey Al Sheikh's favourite fighter, isn't it? Turkey pay equals turkey teeth. Anyway, Padley's a bit unknown to the masses because he's been fighting small hall up until now, but yeah, he looks half decent. He keeps his shape really well and some lovely body shots in there, but old Chamberlain's in fine form at the minute, so Padley's got his work cut out. Not a lot else to say on that fight really, other than Sam Noakes is likely for the winner. Anyway, moving on, let's get to the very meaty Cacace versus Warrington. Yes, this should be an absolute fucking barnstormer and possibly an all-out dirty brawl if old Headbutt Harry has anything to fucking do with it, blimey. So it's not for the IBF belt now, but there we are. Cacace's win over Cordina to pick up that belt was rather surprising for a lot of people, including myself. However, he really was phenomenal that night. Heart of a lion and a force to be reckoned with. He'll be brimming with confidence for this fight, but can the same be said for old Warrington? Yes, a super fighter on his day, albeit a bit dirty. However, with nearly a year's inactivity and just one win in his last 5 fights, will we see him at the top of his game for this one? Or ever again for that matter? Now, output-wise, Josh is nearly always on top. He's got a brilliant work rate, a blinding engine, and more than happy to make it rough. The problem is he seems to always lack the power at the top level to put a dent in his opponents. I'm discounting his knockout of Martinez in that, by the way, because that was just Headbutt City, weren't it? After the fight, Kiko looked like he put his head in a fucking vice. Anyway, that may be one of the reasons why he's been losing a lot lately, and ultimately, once again, I feel like this could be a big problem in this fight with old Cacace, who has a solid chin and is absolutely tough as nails. So I feel like Josh does have a good chance of outboxing Cacace over 12 rounds, just like he's done to great fighters such as Frampton in the past, but I feel like it's going to be seriously hard work. For one, he's going to have an almost impossible task of knocking him out. I mean, this guy's never even felt the canvas before. And two, all night Josh is going to be in the firing line of Cacace's heavy-handed, thumping shots with him constantly coming forward because Josh's power is essentially not threatening enough to him. So if Cacace's in the form of the Cordina fight, in a nutshell, Josh is likely to have a very hard time keeping him off all night. And it's just very hard to look past the form of both men, with Warrington not in the best form and Cacace in very good form. We shall see. It's another blinder though, and what is a dynamite card, and then we get the main event as well. Fucking roll on. I've done my prediction for that in this vid here, so feel free to have a gander and let me know all your predicos below. Have a blinding fight week. Big love. Adios for now.